Beijing is one of the municipalities in China. It's also an ancient capital which named differently in previous 3,000 years. For example, it's named as Beiping in Ming Dynasty and Republic of China. See how prosperous Beijing is. But one significant part that we cannot forget is architecture, ranging from traditional one to modern one. They are all important for Beijing. The reason is we can see the changes and development of both ancient and modern Beijing through architecture. On the other hand, we cannot neglect the uprising problems, especially pollution. In fact, the Chinese capital has for many years suffered from serious air pollution. For the following, we are going to analyze this issue. Now, let's join our journey to ancient Beijing. In the southeastern parts of central Beijing, a spiritual and representative ancient Chinese architecture was located. One of the most iconic spots in Beijing, the Temple of Heaven. The Temple of Heaven was built in Ming Dynasty around AD 1420. In the following 500 years, the main function of the Temple of Heaven is conducting ceremony called sacrifice to heaven. This heritage reflects the society and political ideology in Chinese history. In the ancient society, people perceived that the empire is the son of God. They believe empire owns the special ability to communicate with God through the act of sacrifice to heaven. This explained why people obeyed to the rule of the empire and conveyed the value of temples in ancient times. More, people were superstitious toward the mother nature. They believed God's fortune would be granted through prayer and sacrificing. On the contrary, disasters and adversity would be descended if people offend Mother Nature. So, they tried to live peacefully with nature. Every year in different festival or season, the empire would go to the specific temple and pray for a stable country and imperial power. In fact, there were three more corresponding temples located in Beijing. Temple of Sun, used in Chunfen. Temple of Moon, used in Choufen. Temple of the Earth, which opposite to Temple of Heaven, represent Yin, Yang, respectively. These four temples are located in East, South, West, and North, which formed a square, while the Forbidden City is located in center, that stimulates the central of the earth. Another significant part that the Temple of Heaven revealed is the political ideology, cosmology. There are plenty of historical records on cosmology in China. The Hall of Prayer for Good Harvest is a magnificent triple-gabled circular building where the empire prayed for a good harvest. Its outlook is full of blue tiles, which representing the color of the universe. The circular mount altar is the altar proper, which representing the central of the universe. In 1900, Temple of Heaven has been taken over by Eight-Nation Alliance for military command. Later, with the downfall of monarchy and the rise of Yuan Shihai, people were first allowed to enter this mysterious place in 1918. Nowadays, the Temple of Heaven has already transformed it into a park. People can perform, appreciate the nature and history in this place.
Let me introduce the background of Yuan. In the alleyways of Beijing, there are a large number of quadrangles enclosed by inward-facing houses on four sides. They are named as Yuan. Yuan first appeared in Shang Dynasty and developed rapidly in Ming Qing Dynasty. Having more than 3,000 years of history, Si He portrays the concept of family and nature in China. Beijing Si He is still considered as the perfect classic model. In Si He, the main north-facing house is used for the master of family. On the both sides, the houses located on east and west was for the younger generation. The south-facing house was for the servant or sticking sunrises. Usually the official or wealthy people's Si He was composed with several small Si He. By looking their door, you can tell the social status of that family, which showing the concept of social estates in old Beijing. On the other hand, the design of Si He also revealed the concept of family. Si He was enclosed in a shape of square or triangle. A big family would live in Si He as one unit. It shows a close relationship and union between the family. More, the master was living in the main north-facing house as the center of the family, which represents feudal family system in the past. Si He and coastal style shows the characteristic of Chinese, which is introverted. Then we move on exploring the connection between Si He and nature. The presence of Kanya played an important role in Si He. People will grow different types of plants to establish the poetic atmosphere. More, the presence of Kanya highlighted the harmony and relationship between nature and humans. In addition, the door always located in the corner of southeast. According to the study of feng shui, it is the best position of ventilation. Furthermore, it is good for drilling system based on the geographic factor in Beijing. Overall speaking, many small design details in Si He are taking nature as the design consideration and concepts. However, due to the decline of Qing dynasty, wealthy people went Si He separately at that time. Mixed and clouded people transformed the meaning of Si He. Also, corridor and large-scale garden are perceived as impractical in nowadays society. The changing of composition thus destroy the originality of Si He. Here we come to the modern architecture, Wangjing Soho. Traveling past by the central Beijing and Beijing Capital International Airport, you will probably discover a unique building erecting in the city. This is Wangjing Soho. Wangjing Soho is a complex of three curvilinear symmetric skyscrapers in Wangjing, opened in 2014. The architect Hassan Hadi revealed that the design of curvilinear walls was inspired by the dancing Chinese fans. Although modern architecture may seem entirely different from ancient architecture, similarities still exist even though they are apart thousands of years. Considering the connection with nature, both of the modern and ancient architecture introduced nature as part of the designs. Architect of Wangjing Soho described the interior sky of the towers as flowing, shimmering ribbons of aluminum and glass that continuously wrap and embrace the sky, and he mentioned that the tower is inspired by the surrounding movement of Beijing, the sun, the wind. While the Temple of Heaven stretched on connecting universe, world, and people, both of the design aims to picture the harmony with nature in different presentation styles. Nature is still remaining a key influence in Chinese architecture. Under globalization and rapid development in digital era, Beijing as the capital of China is encountering continual flow of information and ideas from worldwide. Modern architecture in Beijing fused with Western elements, which display the international integration of avant-garde concepts. Combining with ancient architecture traditions, it creates the unique cityscape in Beijing.
Despite of being one of the most developed city in China, the world is now paying more attention on another serious issue in Beijing, the air pollution. Geographically speaking, Beijing is in the northern top of the North China Plain, which opens to the southern and eastern parts of the city. With geographical advantage, Beijing enjoys many economic opportunities, internal and external trade with close connection with other developed cities in China. However, Beijing is currently facing the colossal price to the environment behind economic bloom. To talk about the situation, according to Helmut, air quality in cities is the result of a complex interaction between natural and anthropogenic environmental conditions. In China, more than 150 of cities failed to meet World Health Organization air quality standards. Each year, there are approximately 300,000 people died from diseases linked to air pollution in China. In Beijing, the air pollution level is averaged more than twice China's national standard in 2005. The situation goes even worse in fall season. During the mid-January in 2013, Beijing's air quality was measured on the top of the city's American Embassy at a PM 2.5 density of 755 micrograms per cubic meter, which went far off the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's air quality index.
口罩的话会嗓子很干，然后会非常的不舒服。
对于一个骑自行车就感觉像 take a risk， 就像冒险一样。像这个就是最好随身带着一点啊。
环境一不好，像这种雾霾的天气，它就是容易感冒，感冒后期以后就会咳嗽。
The reasons for this situation are diverse. On average, 35 to 60% of the ozone can be traced back to the source outside Beijing. Shandong Province and Tianjin Municipality has a significant influence on Beijing air quality, partially due to the Province south or southeastern flow during the summer and the mountain to the north and to the northwest. Primary sources of pollutant include exhaust emission from Beijing more than 5 million motor vehicles, coal burning, dust storm from the north, and local construction dust. Comparing to any other developed city, the rising number of vehicles has always been the major air pollution origin. In Beijing, there are more than 5 million of motor vehicles in total. Counting from the daily vehicle operation, refueling, manufacturing, and disposal process, pollutants are emitted in every single step. On the other hand, large delivery trucks are often huge emitters. Even if they claim to be up to standard, in recent research which done by Beijing Environmental Protection Bureau, they disclosed that 80 to 90% of the heavy trucks have vague approval in the city. Coal burning is one of the largest pollution sources in China. According to the statistic given by Greenpeace, coal consumption contributes up to 50% of China's PM 2.5. In Beijing, the coal burning problem is closely linked to the industrial development. Steel production is one of the domain industry, which extract great amount of coal. The annual coal use is up to 9.2 million metric tons, and thus result in 30 million tons of carbon emission. More, there are numerous surrounding places continue with small-scale coal burning, for example, Hebei Province, which often using low-quality coal that cause even worse pollution. Hebei produces 11% of the world's steel, which more than the US, Germany, and Italy combined. Lastly, it comes to the indispensable topic in Beijing air pollution issue, dust storm. Dust storm, also known as Asian dust, is a climatic phenomenon which high-speed wind blow together with intense cloud of fine and dust particle. The dust is most likely from deteriorated grassland, Luscosman sediment, and wadi on the outskirts of desert. With a strong wind blow from the desert area, northern part of China, Beijing, is probably being one of the greatest suffering. As dust storm originated from desert, the wind carried intense cloud of dust and soil particles to the affected region. Dust storm will negatively affect local visibility, air quality by raising the level of suspended particles in the atmosphere. This phenomenon results in adverse health effects and poor visibility among local population across thousands of miles following the occurrence of Asian dust storm event.
The 2008 Beijing Olympic Games is a representative example to show how the government controlled the air pollution problem to minimize the influence posed on the athletes and tourists. Published in the May 15 issues of Journal of American Medical Association, the study details the cleanup efforts in Beijing that the Chinese government spends 17 billion on to prepare the city for the games to encompass the durations of the Olympics and Paralympics. But it is possible. From the start of the Beijing Olympics, several U.S. cyclists arrived at Beijing's Capital International Airport, wearing the black face mask to protect themselves from the pollution, which raised the global concern on the health risks of the athletes and their performance. In preparations for the 2008 Summer Olympics, and to fulfill promise to clean up the city's air, Beijing implements a number of air improvement schemes for the durations of the game, including the halting work at all construction sites, closing manufacturers in Beijing permanently, temporarily shutting industry in neighboring regions, closing some gas stations, and cutting motor traffic by half by limiting drivers to odd or even days based on their license plate number, reducing bus and subway fares, opening new subway lines. More than 300,000 heavily polluting vehicles, mostly trucks, were banned from the Beijing's roads and ahead of the games. Restrictions on the use of the private cars moved another 1.7 million vehicles off the roads during the game. More than that, Beijing continuously assembled 3,800 natural gas-powered buses, one of the largest fleets in the world. Beijing then became the first city in China to require the Chinese equivalent to the Europe's 4 emission standard. However, the results of air quality wasn't satisfying as expected. The BBC report team tested on the airborne particles in Beijing a month before the grand opening of Olympics. The testing lasted for a week, and here is the result. Comparing to the World Health Organization standard that Beijing government promised to reach, there are still 3 days which exceed the standard. And if we raise the requirements to the international WHO guideline, only 1 day meets the standard. The situation in Beijing went even worse. After the closing of Olympic Games, it took the Beijing government a while to admit that the city's air quality had gone worse. In March 2011, the spokesman for the Beijing's Municipal Environmental Bureau, Du Xiaoshong, rejected a U.S. study suggesting that 60% of the Beijing's air quality improvement during the Games had evaporated within a year. Instead, Du insisted the city has seen a steady improvement. According to Lee, the mission under 13 5-year plans is to improve the environmental standards across the board, especially tackling urban smog, which would deliver good air quality days readings for 80% of the year. Under the plan, the policy will boost the economy in the coming 5 years. He has pointed out that the Chinese authorities will work on reducing factories from the releasing harmful particulate matter PM2.5 by 20%, which is the major reason for the air pollution. From the US EPA, PM2.5 is the standard for the world for the sake of reference. The particulates will reach everyone because they are small and goes directly to our body. For the coal burning, reduction and switching to renewable energy, there are several solutions to improve air quality. First, reduce emissions caused by coal burning industry and vehicle. In 2014, Beijing shut down more than 1,000 coal mines, 5 gigawatts of thermal power capacity, and 55,000 small-scale coal-fired industrial boilers to reduce coal pollution.
In January 2015, Beijing established a series of programs in controlling vehicle emission, including New Vehicle Emission Standard, Fuel Quality Standard, In-Use Vehicle Emission Control. Other programs such as Alternative Fuel Vehicle, Switching to Electronic Vehicle, and Vehicle Population Control have also been adopted. While minimizing the source of pollutant, Beijing also made effort in raising public awareness by delivering complete air quality information to the citizen. Better urban planning has been carried out. For instance, increasing proportion of green space, conducting environmental assessment in the major infrastructure project. Beijing, valued as the center of China, experienced huge historical changes. Traveling from the ancient architecture to the modern building and investigating the social problem in the city, we project a small part of Beijing image. We hope this video can inspire you all to continue with this discovery journey and explore different images of the city around the world.